This is my first time here. Yeah!
Excited to see
Odyssey and, of course, Otoboke Beaver.
Otoboke Beaver.
Sanam,
The Rifle County Players.
Ribbon Skirt.
Mineo Kawasaki,
Snake Pit.
Horse Jumper of Love.
Horse Jumper of Love.
I'm fucking hyped.
Piss from Vancouver.
Baths. Want to relive a little bit of my youth.
Mecha kawaii desu ne. I'm gonna die in the pit tonight, bro.
Hey y'all, it's Adora from Living a Creative Life, and I'm getting to experience my first Sled Island. I can't believe that I've been in Calgary my whole life, and this is my first time.
We define ourselves as a music discovery festival. So absolutely emerging artists are a huge part of what we do, and they're very much the reason why the festival exists, I would say. To me, Sled Island exists to shine a light on artists who don't match the commercial pop music mold. Find artists that are going to elicit a strong response. Usually people who have a very singular artistic vision, and that their live show is gonna create some reaction. And it's sometimes, obviously, ideally it's enjoyment, but sometimes I've seen people come out of shows and be like, okay, I didn't quite understand what was happening, but it was amazing. The fact that people don't recognize a lot of the names on our poster, it is part of the fun. It is part of the experience. Yeah, I think we've worked really, really hard to build that trust with our audience so that now it is actually one of the primary reasons that people come. Yes, there's always a couple artists that are very meaningful to them, but really what people love is kind of running into a friend who then tell them, oh, I'm going to that show, and then their plans change and they walk into a venue and they hadn't planned on it, but then bam, it's the best show they'll see all festival.
So we're at Dickens right now. It's a great club in town. We just arrived for Sophie Royer's set. She's a really cool pop artist from Vienna, Austria, which is pretty rare, I guess. We don't really get a lot of artists from there.
Sled Island has become such an iconic pillar in the landscape of Calgary festivals. Can you please let me know what has changed from when you started to 2025?
If I think back of when I started at Sled Island in 2013, I feel like the festival was already, pretty established, but I think that people tended to think of it as primarily a rock music festival. When I started, that was kind of a priority for me to want to widen a little bit who we were reaching, but that kind of change, it takes quite a bit of time. The time that I really started seeing things shift, I would say probably 2017 when we got Flying Lotus to be our guest curator. I feel like all of a sudden people for whom Sled Island wasn't necessarily on their radar started paying attention and getting interested. And I think from that point on, we saw that trend grow and grow. So it's not necessarily that there are more people coming now, it's just more different people. There was this magic from the very beginning. What has changed over the past decade or so is just that maybe now they're just more different type of people who can take part in the magic.
No, this is my, 14th sled or something. I'm not from Calgary. Seeing new bands is the most important thing for me. Everyone's having a great time. That's what Sled's all about.
What I love about Sled is seeing all the gay little sluts out and about, moshing, having a grand time.
Love live music, and I love shaking my ass to it.
And we just arrived at Commonwealth, And tonight is a very special show. We have Yaya Bay, amazing artist, R&B artist from Brooklyn that I've been listening to for years. I'm super excited that we finally got her. And then we have a ton of great artists leading up to it.
The identity, I think, used to be cool, but maybe almost too cool to a fault. A lot of people thought that they weren't cool enough to go to it and therefore hang back. But like the last handful of years, I think has shifted to more inclusive and maybe important. We want people to feel welcome, but we also want people to know how important these kind of events are to Calgary, because without Sled, it would be a sadder place.
If there's one thing that we really do try to do is, make people feel like they can come as their whole self. And not only they can, it's like it's what we want from them, right? That's the it factor. That's what makes the festival so special.
Just from there, the continued connection. So it's artists, it's, I think the easiest way to describe it is when you are out and about jumping between venues, you will see a lot of the same faces. You will connect with people you've never met before and leave with new best friends. And I think that's a unique aspect that at times can be lost at mega festivals. I see so often that you'll see people out and about, or you will hear the stories in our surveys afterward of people saying they've met longtime friends now through Sled. And we have so many stories of people meeting their now husband or wife, now partner. I think that's a unique aspect of how close and a community it feels. There are thousands of people going to the festival each year, but you still will see the same faces. You will still meet and build connections, and I think that's really special.
Coming here for the very first time, being freshly introduced to my partner here and just freshly dating, and then coming back every year, and now we're here and we're married.
It just feels like Christmas to me. I'm from Calgary. I've been involved in the music scene since I was a teenager, and it's just the coming together of every part of it. It's the legacy acts and the foreign acts and the local acts and the bands playing their first time. It's the bridging of old and new and amateur and professional. It's just incredible. There's nothing like it.
I did not expect to see a room full of video games and pinball machines from my time in this bar. Quite frankly, the nostalgia is incredible, the vibe is incredible, and there's nothing better than knowing that you can reach out and touch that live performer. But we don't touch! Consent is mandatory. We're having a ball.
I like to think that we're an artist-centric festival. And the festival is all about giving opportunities, really, to artists in Calgary, but we actually get Canadian artists from all over the country. We get people from all provinces. But I guess if you think of Western Canada in particular, for the type of music that we present, there isn't really anything else like Sled Island. And so before the festival existed, there were quite few opportunities for those type of artists in Calgary and the area. And so I think with Sled Island, we're able to offer them chances to play on larger stages, chances to reach a much bigger and wider audience, to share the stage with people who often influenced them, who are like heroes of theirs. And it's also a great opportunity to meet other musicians from across the country. Providing all this connection is also, I think, very important to nurture a local scene, and I'm really proud and happy that we're able to do that. One thing we tend to prioritize artists who've never played in Calgary, because there are still so many, even among acts who have been around for a very long time. A lot of people still haven't played Calgary, so we really like bringing those people.
But yesterday at Berra, I moshed for the first time.
Okay, so now we're at the Blocks Art Center. It's a really sweet new venue in Calgary. It's all ages, which is really rare in the city, so that's really awesome. And so we just arrived to see Eviction. She's an artist from San Francisco. I don't even know how to describe her. She doesn't
fit in any box. She makes a lot of her instruments. They're more like contraption of some kind, almost like more performance art. And yeah, I just can't wait to see what it's like. I've never seen her live. I'm super excited.
My very first sled, that was probably 3 years ago, the Ginger Beef Show. Upstairs, Palomino. It was like this tiny stage. We have to fit like 4 people on it and couldn't fit on, so I just sat there. Crazy energy, and yeah, so it was like test for the band playing live, very first time, and loved it.
Pete on the Tiger!
He's the Tiger, my friend!
Tiger!
Pete on the
Z.
Go!
Go, Pigeon, go!
Definitely the festival has a history of booking people at the beginning of their career and people who went on to become much, much bigger. Like the number of times that we hear, oh my God, I just found out such and such artist played at Sled Island like 10 years ago, I just can't believe it. Jack Harlow, who is now like really, really famous, but yeah, his first Calgary show was at Sled Island, and he actually has been talking about it very fondly in interviews, which is super nice to hear. But I mean, you know, now he's doing like blockbusters movies and like his career has really taken off, so that's one example. But we've had other acts like Japanese Breakfast or JPEG Mafia, who people were able to see in like a 400, 500 people room, and then like 6 months later there was no way you could have caught them in a like venue like, you know, smaller than like 3 or 4 times the size. It's always nice to see that, both because we always wish the best to the artists we present, but I think it's also speak to, you know, that we kind of know what we're doing as well. But it also helps people buying into the proposition, which is a tough one to sell. Like music discovery is a tough sell.
Getting a body, crowd surfer chucked at me, and then me flung onto the ground at Soul Glow last year.
One of the things that we're hoping to achieve with Sled Island is really changing the narrative around Calgary. It's crazy to me that people still think, even people who live in Canada but just maybe haven't been here or haven't been in a long time, really think that Calgary is just 100% cowboy culture, that it's only like white cis men who live here, like overly conservative people, but there's just so much more to it. I just want to hear something more positive and more reflective of the city that we are now. And so that's really something we're trying to put at the forefront with Sled Island, to be like, hey, look at all that amazing thing happening. And yes, maybe you don't expect it to happen in Calgary, but guess what? It is happening. So maybe it's about time the rest of the world catches up.
Catch up.
Sudan Archives, like a few years ago, was amazing. To see her in like such a kind of smaller venue was like amazing. I don't know.
So here we're at Vern's. It's an institution in the stand-up comedy scene here in Calgary. Sled Island always have comedians every year from across the country, up-and-coming comics, and yeah, this place is where it's happening.
Is there something like Sled Island in Toronto?
There isn't, actually. I think that's why it's a really special festival, because there isn't anything like that in Toronto. You either have music or you have comedy. And so it's nice to be able to jump around and get to see different artists that you've never known before.
Tell me your most interesting Sled Island experience.
So I wasn't originally from here, and I got to see Odyssey, I think, like 2 days ago. And it was nice to actually be able to talk about, like, original Black ideas. Sled Island this year, I think, like, delivered pretty well on like hip hop performances, and that's something that's important to me. It's also nice to see like all the big names and all that, but like It's nice to know there's a group of people somewhere out there fucking like, hey, yo, like, I fucking like hip hop. And I've been seeing that in Calgary more, which is just nice. That's, honestly, I might be a bit biased and a little bit closed-minded, but that's what I'm fucking with. That's what I really like.
Love seeing Shushu, Adoption, Para, who else? Looking forward to seeing Horse Jumper.
Horse Jumper of Love, our number one. So excited.
Not your number one.
My
but
number one.
My number two.
For a long time, anyone who wanted to be an artist and a working artist, most people felt like they had no choice but to leave. They had to move to Toronto, they had to go to Vancouver, to Montreal, but like being an artist in Calgary didn't seem like a reality. And a big part of it, I think, was because of the lack of opportunities and not being able to see those like larger, more established artists come to their city, not having that experience of playing on a larger stage. So having opportunities for emerging artists to me is essential in retaining the talent that we have here. Because if we don't nurture that, then we're going to go back to everyone feeling like, oh, there's no path for me here, and I have to leave.
I love Sled so much, they know. The first time I ever got paid from my music was from Sled. The first panel I'll ever be on is because of Sled. The biggest stage, the first big stage I was ever on is because of Sled.
First Sled we did, we were opening for Thundercat at the Palace Theater. We were looking for the green room and happened to walk into the wrong room, and Thundercat and all his boys were there, so we got to meet them. That just speaks to the caliber of artists that they get here at Sled Island. Even Princess Nokia, getting to meet Princess Nokia and her chasing us down at the Palace Theater to talk to us and whatnot. She hugged me, it felt great.
How do you approach building and maintaining the festival's zhuzh, vibe, identity year after year?
Yeah, we try to showcase Sled Island as like a very unique festival. It's not just a bunch of rock shows. It's not just a couple stages. It's not a bunch of people in a field at one big show. It's its own thing. It's an experience. There's such a sense of community at Sled Island that I don't think you see at a lot of different events. People are making new friends, traveling from venue to venue, comparing schedules, biking around, hanging around outside of venues. Yeah, the city just comes alive in such a different way. It's so evident that Sled Island is happening when it starts to happen. Another key indicator that's hard to measure, but we get to see it ourselves, is going out to the festival and seeing people having fun, smiling faces, crowd surfing, however it is they're vibing with it. That's finally like when you see it paying off, you know?
But I guess it's really important for our brand too. We want to foster a relationship. So next year they would like to come back because they benefit from, partnering with us. So I would say the biggest measure of success is a sponsor coming back the next year and, understanding that there was value in our relationship.
So we just arrived at the #1 Legion. It's the quintessential Sled Island venue. You literally cannot talk about Sled Island without mentioning the Legion. We've been using it since the beginning of the festival, and it's hosted some of our most memorable shows. We have a stage upstairs and downstairs. People keep bopping up and down. We love that it's the Legion volunteers who are bartending, and some of them are 80 plus, and they just deal with us year after year, and they don't seem fazed at all by whatever we throw at them. And it's just really awesome. It's a pretty magical place, and I can't imagine the festival without it.
I work down here all the time. Every year I'm down here.
You're having a party at Sled Island.
I get to know some of the people who was here last year. Y'all know who I am.
Are you having a great time working here?
Yeah, I love meeting people.
I'm seeing so many different kinds of people, and when I say that, I mean points of view. It almost reminds me of your high school cafeteria, except nobody's mean. And everybody is talking with everybody, moving from table to table. They're playing darts.
Just a little bit more.
As an attendee before I even started working with Sled, I've always had so many proud moments of knowing this is, the city I was born and raised in, and there is something like this. It was a place for me always, 10 years ago, still to this day. Dream job for me. I have a very overwhelming sense of pride with my colleagues. We're such a small team, and somehow we put this together every year, and I'm so proud of them, and I'm proud that I'm part of it.